U.S. President Donald Trump was a surprise guest at an abrupt meeting of U.S. military officials in Virginia, where he warned about a, quote, war from within the United States.
I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military.
Trump's 70-minute speech to U.S. military admirals and generals followed Pete Hegseth's address, who is now known as the Secretary of War, as Hegseth promised an overhaul of U.S. military culture. For more on the significance of the speeches, we're joined from New York this morning by Tawfiq Rahim. He's a geopolitical strategist and author of Trump 2.5, a primer. Good morning.
Good morning.
So more than 800 U.S. military admirals and generals at this event, some having to fly in from the Middle East and Asia to do so. How, first of all, unprecedented is the Trump administration's move to call this gathering? And what did you make of what you heard?
Well, it's definitely unprecedented, both in terms of the logistics, the kind of comprehensive nature of it, and the pageantry, right? I think, there isn't the conclusion of a war. It isn't a major military moment. And so it was quite a bit of theater, which is why I think it caused a lot of headlines. I think there was less substance in the speech, although a lot of fiery rhetoric from Trump that was excerpted in your clip. And I would say more flowery theatrics from Secretary Hegseth.
Okay, so behind that, let's talk about what this actually means in terms of rollout. What about Trump's comments about using certain U.S. cities as training grounds for the military? These come just days after he ordered, we watched this, National Guard troops to be deployed to Portland. This year, Trump has already sent National Guard to L.A. and into Washington. There's talk of him moving into Chicago. Let's talk about escalation, war from within, and using the military to, quote, straighten out American cities.
Yeah, I think there's two things going on. Firstly, the Pentagon and the Department of War, as they're calling it, is such a large behemoth. So there are those hundreds of generals that you mentioned, but there's 3 million DOD service members and employees, and it's $1 trillion budget. So you're talking about reorienting this entire ship, and in their view, remaking it politically. And so I think this is important in what they talked about. But as you mentioned, it's the actions that are being undertaken in Chicago, Portland, Washington, D.C., that are the ways in which the military is being deployed. I would extend that to further deployment in the Western Hemisphere itself and tying in what's happening in Venezuela. And there's this kind of continuum where there's almost a repatriation of the American military and its focus to Latin America, the Americas, the home front and the border, and then within American cities. I would be tying it a lot more to two things. One is domestic terrorism, as they see it, which has obviously dangerous implications for political targeting, as well as illegal immigration and then drug cartels across a number of countries.
U.S. Defense Secretary, or the Secretary of War as he's known now, Pete Hegseth, said the military will impose what he calls, quote, the highest male standards for all combat roles. We know that Hegseth has been vocal in his opposition to women serving in combat roles. And in his speech, he said, quote, if women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. So what does this mean then? And again, we're talking about rollout. Like there's one thing about language, another thing about implementing. What does this mean for the U.S. military and for the women who right now are serving their own country?
Well, I was in college with Pete Hegseth when he enrolled in the military around the time of 9/11. And he was very much bellicose. It's the same type of rhetoric about two things. One was an American force posture. And the second was he was very much against all types of diversity movement and any type of action in that regard. And I think this is as much, related to the Trump administration as this his own posture, which is really kind of creating this image of a very traditional American male-oriented military. And they're trying to send a message in their way to China, Russia, and others that this is a different America. but it's going to have a lot of implications in the nature and faces in American forces, and of course we have to see what the secondary effects are going to be.
Trump also spent part of his address taking aim at our country, at Canada.
Yeah, I think
Canada
when you
called me a couple of weeks ago, they want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free.
So we're presuming that call is referencing Canada's interest to join in the U.S. Golden Dome missile defense program. Why would Trump be choosing to bring back his 51st state threat now and in that room?
I mean, President Trump is a rambler. He calls it the weave. He brings in so many different issues at any point in time. I think he brought that in for two reasons. One is a point of levity for his audience. I think also he's using it to poke at Canada. The negotiations are in a lull, and he's trying to demonstrate that in some way or shape or form, this is an advantage for him, that he can kind of poke the Canadian bear, so to speak. But I don't think Canada has had a response either to what its intentions are regarding the Golden Dome, or actually kind of getting to a final alignment with President Trump. And so I think the fact that Canada is mentioned is not good, because there are many other countries to mention, and it means that it's on his mind.
I appreciate you joining us this morning. Tawfiq Rahim, geopolitical strategist and author of Trump 2.5, a primer. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.